Hi, I'm Carla D. Tillery, and welcome to the Chair Chronicles. I'm your life coach and your favorite auntie. You know, that aunt that is so not afraid to tell you the truth and help you see things just a little clearer, and you love her advice. Well, as a certified life coach with over 2 decades of experience, I'm very passionate about helping you find your happiness. So pull up a chair and let's have a talk. Hi, LA.
Hey.
We're going to talk about this big question.
Okay.
Can men and women be just friends?
Yes.
You said that really quickly.
Yes, they can. Yes,
and
they can.
I agree. I think men and women can absolutely be friends. I do think there's a level of complexity.
Yes.
If one or both are married.
Yeah. And not just married. I believe dating as well, or in other relationships.
That's true. True. So what does that look like, or what are some safeguards? Let's just use, for example, they're both single, right? But they're dating other people.
Right.
What are the red flags or things of caution you think that they should be paying attention to?
Well, I think that if you are truly friends, you don't have any feelings for one another, he should be comfortable in introducing you to someone that he's dating. He should be honest with them, and then you as the person being the friend, you have to respect the boundary of their relationship. You don't want anyone to feel uneasy or have this suspicion about you being a friend.
Right, but what if they're more attractive than the person they're dating? I mean, because if they're more attractive, that's going to make, that person feel a little bit insecure, and then makes them watch that relationship when probably it may be unnecessary, because it may have nothing to do with what the individual is doing, right? But just how the person that they're dating just feels insecure about them being around other people that are more attractive, or that they view as more attractive. Right.
Well, I think that's where you have to be the one to pull back. And you may have to have that conversation with your friend and say, listen, I don't want there to be any blurred lines where, who you're dating, looks at me with this feeling of there's something going on.
Right.
So, you don't call as much. You don't, obviously you wouldn't just pop over their house or anything like that, but you might want to limit the amount of time that you're around.
Well, I think, at the end of the day, you need healthy boundaries, right? With any relationship, whether it's of the same sex or not.
Right.
I think you need to have healthy boundaries that really establish the ability to still have healthy relationships outside of that. Right. So outside of that friendship, if you're married or if you're dating, you still need to make sure that you can have, a healthy lifestyle and maintain those relationships. But I absolutely believe that, men and women can have platonic friendships. There is absolutely no attraction there. But there is a strong bond there. Right. There's a strong bond of friendship that they've developed over the years. They got some shared values. They're great confidants to each other. They help each other. They, they're pouring into each other, and there's some commonality there that's just been built over time. And I think that's I can see that, because I think a lot of times, at least in my younger years, I had more guy friends than I did girlfriends. Okay. And it was, guys were able to kind of give you tips and tricks. And maybe that's what it was. They told me everything I was doing wrong. Or, They told me the secrets and all of that kind of stuff. So and I remember wanting a guy's perspective, but they were easy to get along with. They weren't catty. They weren't it wasn't the cliquish kind of groups that you experience in like high school and college and all of that. And so I did have a lot of strong friendships with a lot of males. I did.
And that's awesome.
So do you?
I do. Now I can't say that there are 3 really great friends. 2 of them are married, one is dating, and the two that are married, I mean, their wives know about me. I've been invited to things. They know I'm the sister, you know. Yeah. And I think that's the other part of it too, is, you know, looking at both of those women, they're very confident in who they are. They're very comfortable in you know, who they are. I was introduced right at the outset. I was at gatherings when, you know, everyone got to meet her. Yeah, you know? So, you know, there was, and then it was my own way of making them feel comfortable. Yes. I wanted them to get to know me so that they could really sense that, listen, this is his sister. Right. Yeah. And it worked. And it has worked. Yeah. You know,
and I would say the same for me. Because one of my close friends is, and I call him my brother, but, and he's married. Yeah. And when he was dating, I was like, I'm ready to meet her. Yes. You know, she got... We have to hurry up and connect, right? Yeah. And so we did, and it's been a great relationship, even with her, because I was introduced and it was made known that, you know, I'm like the little sister kind of thing, right? But yeah, I think that's important. I think the introduction and being open, and I think when you start to kind of hide,
I was getting ready to say that,
and when you start to kind of shelter the other person from that relationship, I think that's when the assumptions come. Right. I think that's when the insecurities come. That's when all of the questions come. Right.
And really your friend?
And what's the reason?
Right.
However, I will say that I think you do have to be careful. Yeah. And I think sometimes if that person is not careful, they could be communicating more with their best friend than they are with their partner.
Right.
And that's sketchy.
It is.
That's sketchy.
And that's, like you said, that's the boundaries. That's that line. And so, you know, for myself, I'm very aware of it. You know, you just have to be very conscious of it. And again, it's about being respectful.
That's right.
Yeah.
And making sure you understand what respect looks like for the other person.
Yeah.
Because sometimes what respect is for us may not be for the other person, right? So, you know, you may say being respectful is, okay, only talking to you once a day.
Right.
But the partner, they may say, I don't want once a week. Like, you're talking to them way too much.
Right.
So, and they're like,
you just see them when they come over, when we invite them over for the family gathering or something like that. Yeah.
So it's got to be like this level of understanding of, you know, what's appropriate in that particular situation for those individuals. Yeah.
So what do you do though if say for instance a person is dating someone else, and again you've had that great bond, and then that person breaks up and you start to look at each other in
a little differently.
Oh,
well, we looking at each other a little differently now, huh?
And it's not reciprocated.
Ooh. Okay.
I mean,
so if it's not reciprocated, I think you really need to have some strong senses and awareness about what the relationship really is. And sometimes you have to put yourself out there to kind of find out the response to that question, which is dangerous. Yeah. Because if you throw out there, I'm starting to develop feelings for you, will that disrupt the friendship?
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so if things take a turn, that is a pivotal point in the relationship. Yeah. And you'll need to do some self-assessment. Why now?
Right.
Is it just
what
because
triggered that all of a sudden?
What triggered that all of a sudden? Yeah. If you had not had any attraction for that person, and it really just was strong friendship, and I think that's why this question comes up a lot.
Yeah.
Is because friendships, you connect in that bond and you're interacting and you're close.
They know you.
They know you. You're sharing things. They understand you.
Right.
And the fear is that it would transition into something that is more.
Right.
And you develop that physical attraction.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why the question comes up, whether men and women can. Yeah. I think they can with healthy boundaries.
I think so
right?
too.
And you got to put safeguards in place.
Right. And I mean, I've had a situation where, again, a really great friend of mine, and, you know, we actually talked about it. You know, what would this look like if we, you know, we decided to date, and we both decided that our friendship meant more
than testing it out,
and it didn't
and failing.
Work. Yeah. And at first it was hard. I believe it was hard for him as well. But, you know, I'm glad that we didn't.
So were there any tricky points after that conversation to just stay on that friendship level?
We stepped back. I noticed we stopped
You need
talking
a little
as
distance?
much. Yeah, I think we both needed to just have a moment to understand whether or not that's truly what we meant. And I was glad that we did it, because I made sure that, was it truly the right decision? And I felt comfortable with the decision. I liked him and I loved him, but I wasn't in love with him, so it definitely made the decision even easier for me. But I was glad we took the time to kind of step back from it. And so, maybe married, children and all of that, and I still get the Christmas card with all the
Right.
and so we still, I still consider him a friend, but I'm
Right.
glad that we didn't. I
Right.
really am. Yeah.
And so I think one of the other things is just kind of knowing how mature the both of you are to have that conversation.
It was deep.
Because there's a certain level of maturity to be able to look and have an honest conversation
Right.
about the potential or the lack of potential for it to
Right.
develop into something.
Right.
And then to be okay, resolve it,
Yeah.
come to some kind of agreement, and then be okay afterwards.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of maturity to kind
That's
of
it.
have that honest conversation
Yeah.
and lay everything out, be vulnerable,
Right.
trust that the friendship has enough substance that it could
It will last.
sustain
Yeah.
itself
Yeah.
through that kind of conversation.
Yeah.
And I think what I find when listening to others is most cases, the maturity level is not there.
Yeah.
And so, when it's not received well, then the relationship turns, and it's like, if the relationship had all these great things, like, how come there's no bounce back?
Right.
And sometimes
true.
there's just no bounce back in certain relationships. I
Right.
get it.
Right.
But I think it does allow me to, I shouldn't say allow me, but I think the person should start to think, well, what kind of substance was really there?
Right. Right.
Because I think
It's an interesting
relationships of
question.
any kind are going to take some ups and downs.
Ebbs and flows. It really,
And accepting a period of time where you're not communicating as much. Is that okay?
Right.
Or do you need to have that constant communication to be considered a friend?
Right.
Whether it's male or female.
female. Right. Right.
So yeah, I think it's tricky.
that was a
it's
really
tricky
good
because
question.
things can turn, and when they turn, how do you turn?
How do you handle it?
Right? Are we gonna turn off the road?
Exactly.
We gonna crash into the guardrail?
Right.
Or are we going to be able to stay steady and
Yeah.
keep straight and move ahead?
Communication.
It's key.
Can't keep stressing it enough.
And maturity.
Maturity. Yeah.
And maturity is
Yes,
key.
yes.
I think in how you handle it and how you approach it. And I would say if it's not reciprocated, sometimes it does. I think most people will retreat back.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh my God, I put myself out there. This relationship would never be back where it was.
Yeah.
And why did I think that? And I thought they
Our
thought
signals
that
were
way.
wrong, and yeah.
So when there's mixed signals,
Yeah.
and you got to be careful about that.
Yeah.
What signals are you sending?
Right. Right.
Are you sending flirty eyes?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know how that works. I
I'm a
don't.
natural flirt. I'm hoping I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. I just know that particularly if one of the individuals is married, I know that puts a huge strain.
Yes.
It can put a huge strain on the relationship if there's no discipline, if there's no respect of boundaries,
Right.
if there's no acknowledgement that they have a relationship that is
Right.
that is considered significant.
Right.
Then that's tough. And
Yeah.
that's when it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. And that's when, whether you are the person that's in the relationship or you're the person who is on the outside looking in, one of you need to back up.
Right.
Back up and respect the other person. And we're not even talking about their significant other. We're talking about you have respect for that person.
Right. And I think in all of my relationships with men, I never hold back on when I'm talking to them or if they text me. My phone is open.
Right.
It's not locked to my husband.
Right.
I have nothing to hide, so
There you
I have
go.
nothing to shelter and try to sneak away
Yep.
and put in the corner or anything like that. And usually my husband is just as good friends with them anyway.
that's awesome. That's what you want.
I bring them into the whole
That's what
family
you want.
network.
That's what you want. Yes.
And so family functions, getting together, having cookouts, they're there. And so,
Carla,
it makes
that's
it work.
That's it.
Yeah.
When you are able to bring that person in and they themselves come in with this welcoming spirit of, I want to get to know you and your family and, you know, I'm her brother, you know, that's key.
Yeah.
If it feels like there's some hiding that has to take place, or I have to be cautious of how I think it's time to step back and step away.
Right. Or, you know, you have to put these other safeguards in place. Right. So maybe the married couple decides that, you know what, if they're going to text you, text it in a group chat. Right. Text it to both of us kind of thing. Or, you know, or if you see that person in person, you know, if they come to the house, I need to be there. Right. So there's that, you know, you're putting those safeguards in place. And that may be a way too. I know there are a lot of couples that do that when their partner has relationships with the opposite sex. So it can be tricky. Yeah. It can be tricky. But
it can happen.
But it can happen.
It can happen.
It can happen.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this was good.
This was excellent. I loved it.
Well, if you have any comments or any tricky situations you want to share with us, please do that in the comment section or send it to my email address at carladtillery@gmail.com. Thank you for joining us. Please like and share this podcast. Yes. Take this journey with us. We love to see you next time on The Chair Chronicles.